My dear sisters and brothers, have you ever wondered why sometimes your heart feels heavier in Ramadan and your eyes fill with tears without warning? You may think it is weakness, but wallahi, it is one of the greatest signs of life in the heart. In these blessed nights, when the world becomes quiet and distractions fade, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives certain hearts a special gift, the ability to cry before Him. And many people pray, many people make dua, but not everyone is granted the softness to weep in front of their Lord. Let me tell you something very powerful. A tear that falls sincerely for the sake of Allah is never wasted. The Prophet taught us that among the people shaded on the Day of Judgment is the one who remembers Allah alone and their eyes overflow with tears. Think about that moment. No audience, no performance, no perfect Arabic, just you, your brokenness, and Allah who already knows every pain you carry. This is the secret of Ramadan that many people miss. It is not the length of your dua that changes your destiny. It is the sincerity that shakes your heart while you whisper it. As Dr. Haifa Younis often reminds us in her reflections, Allah does not look at the perfection of our words, He looks at the state of our hearts. So if this Ramadan you find your voice trembling, your chest tight, and tears slipping down your face while making dua, do not wipe them away quickly. Pause. Feel the moment, because that tear may be the very reason Allah opens a door for you that you thought was sealed forever. My dear brothers and sisters, there is something very quiet yet very powerful about the moment when a tear falls during dua, especially in the blessed nights of Ramadan. We live in a time where strength is often measured by how composed we look, how controlled we appear, how unshaken we remain in front of people. But in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the scale is completely different. Sometimes the strongest moment of your entire year is the moment your voice trembles and your eyes begin to overflow while your hands are raised in the darkness of the night. Many people make dua in Ramadan. The masajid are full, the tongues are busy with beautiful words, and the hands are raised again and again. But not every dua carries the same weight. Not every whisper rises with the same speed. Not every moment of asking opens the same doors. Because what gives life to a dua is not only the words that are spoken, but the state of the heart that is speaking them. A heart that feels its need. A heart that recognizes its weakness. A heart that stands before Allah knowing there is nowhere else to go. There is something deeply human about tears. When you cry in front of people, sometimes you feel exposed, sometimes embarrassed, sometimes vulnerable. But when you cry in front of Allah, the experience is completely different. Those tears are not a sign of weakness, they are a sign that the heart is awake. They are a sign that the soul is present, aware of the one it is calling upon. And in Ramadan, Allah creates moments where the veils between the servant and the Creator feel thinner, lighter, easier to pass through. Think about the nights of Ramadan when everything becomes quiet. The noise of the day fades, the messages stop, the world slows down, and suddenly you are alone with your Lord. You begin your dua normally, perhaps even routinely, repeating the same phrases you have always known. But then something shifts. Maybe you remember a pain you have been carrying for months. Maybe you remember a mistake that still weighs on your chest. Maybe you remember a dream that feels too far away. And suddenly your voice softens, your chest tightens, your eyes begin to fill. That moment, that exact moment, is more precious than you realize. Because in that moment you are no longer performing a dua. You are feeling it. And Allah loves when His servant turns to Him with a heart that is fully present. Allah loves the servant who calls upon Him not just with the tongue, but with the entire being. This is why the scholars of the heart always remind us that sincerity has a taste, and the one who has tasted it knows the difference immediately. A tearful dua carries the warmth of sincerity. It carries the honesty of need. It carries the humility that Allah loves to see in His servants. Our beloved Prophet taught us about the special rank of the one who remembers Allah in private and whose eyes overflow with tears. Prophet Muhammad described this person among those who will be shaded on the day when there is no shade except the shade of Allah. Reflect on that image for a moment. Not the one who impressed people, not the one whose voice was the most eloquent, but the one who stood alone, unseen by creation, and allowed their heart to soften before their Lord. This teaches us something very important about the secret of accepted dua. Allah is not looking for performance. Allah is not measuring the elegance of your sentences. Allah is not waiting for you to find the most poetic words in Arabic. Allah is looking at your heart. He is looking at the humility inside it. He is looking at the desperation inside it. He is looking at the sincerity that cannot be faked, and Ramadan is the perfect training ground for this kind of heart. In Ramadan, our bodies are already in a state of softness. We are fasting. Our routines are different. Our sleep is lighter. Our hunger reminds us of our need. All of these physical states quietly prepare the heart to be more receptive. That is why many people notice that they feel more emotional in Ramadan. They feel closer to Allah. They feel more easily moved during Quran recitation. They find their eyes watering in moments that normally would not affect them. This is not accidental. This is mercy. Allah is gently softening the soil of your heart so that the seeds of dua can sink deeper. But here is something important to understand. Tears in dua are not something you can force artificially. You cannot command your eyes to cry on demand and expect the same spiritual weight. True tearful dua comes from presence. It comes from slowing down. It comes from allowing yourself to actually feel what you are asking for instead of rushing through the words. Many of us, especially in Ramadan, fall into the habit of rushing our worship. We have lists of duas. We have goals to complete. We move quickly from one act to another. And while there is goodness in consistency and effort, sometimes the heart gets left behind in the rush. The tongue moves, but the heart is somewhere else. The words are correct, but the feeling is distant. A tearful dua invites you to slow down. It invites you to pause between the words. It invites you to actually speak to Allah as the one who hears you right now. When you begin to make dua this Ramadan, try something different. Before you rush into your requests, take a moment to remind your heart who you are speaking to. Remind yourself that Allah is Al-Simi, the one who hears every whisper. Remind yourself that Allah is Al-Qarib, the one who is closer to you than you can imagine. Remind yourself that Allah already knows the pain you are about to describe, yet He still loves to hear you call upon Him. When the heart becomes aware of this reality, something naturally softens. And when the heart softens, tears often follow. Do not underestimate what happens in that quiet moment when a single tear slips down your cheek while your hands are raised. That tear is a witness. That tear is a proof of sincerity. That tear is a sign that, for that moment at least, the dunya loosened its grip on your heart and you turned fully toward your Lord. Sometimes people worry when they do not cry. They think something is wrong with them. But the goal is not the tear itself. The goal is the softness that produces it. Focus on your heart. Focus on speaking honestly to Allah. Focus on admitting your need, your weakness, your hopes, your fears. If tears come, welcome them. If they do not, continue with humility and presence. Allah sees the effort of the heart long before the eyes overflow. But when Allah does gift you that moment of tearful dua, honor it. Do not rush past it. Do not immediately wipe your face and move on. Stay there a little longer. Let the heart speak more, because sometimes the doors of acceptance open in those very seconds when the servant is most vulnerable, most humble, most real before Allah. Ramadan nights pass quickly. The opportunities slip by faster than we expect. And often, the moments that change our lives spiritually are not the loud, dramatic ones, but the quiet ones, the soft whisper, the trembling voice, the single tear in the darkness while everyone else is asleep, and the servant finally feels, deeply and honestly, how much they need their Lord. My dear brothers and sisters, one of the most comforting truths we learn on this journey to Allah is that He does not measure us the way people measure us. Human beings are often impressed by what is visible, the eloquence of speech, the beauty of recitation, the length of worship, the perfection of outward performance. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala looks deeper than all of that. He looks at the heart that is beating behind the words. He looks at the intention that is hidden beneath the action. He looks at the sincerity that no human eye can fully detect. Many of us hesitate when we raise our hands in dua because we feel inadequate. We worry that our Arabic is not strong enough. We worry that our words are too simple. We worry that we do not know the long, poetic supplications that others seem to recite so beautifully. And sometimes this quiet insecurity creates a barrier between us and one of the most intimate acts of worship we have, simply speaking to Allah from the heart. But listen carefully to this gentle reminder. Your Lord is not waiting for perfect sentences. Your Lord is not waiting for flawless pronunciation. Your Lord is not waiting for a performance that sounds impressive to human ears. Allah is listening for honesty. Allah is listening for humility. Allah is listening for that moment when the servant stops trying to sound strong and finally admits how deeply they need Him. This is why the scholars of the heart often remind us that the most powerful du'as are sometimes the simplest ones. A broken, "La Allah," whispered in the darkness can carry more weight than long, beautifully structured words that the heart is not fully present within. Because when the heart is truly present, every word, even the shortest one, is filled with meaning. Ramadan is the perfect time to relearn this forgotten secret. In these blessed days and nights, many people increase their worship, and that is beautiful. But along with increasing quantity, Ramadan invites us to deepen quality. It invites us to bring the heart back into acts that may have become routine throughout the year. And one of the most important places to revive the heart is in our dua. When you raise your hands this Ramadan, try to remove the pressure of sounding perfect. Speak to Allah the way a needy servant speaks to a generous Lord. Speak to Allah the way a worried heart speaks to the one who controls all affairs. Speak to Allah the way someone speaks when they truly believe they are being heard in that exact moment. Because you are. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in the Quran that when His servants ask about Him, He is near, not distant, not unreachable, not waiting for you to become spiritually flawless before He listens. He is near, and He responds to the call of the caller when they call upon Him. Reflect on the mercy embedded in that promise. The condition is not perfection. The condition is calling upon Him sincerely. Sometimes the most transformative moment in a believer's life is the moment they stop trying to impress Allah and start being real with Him. There is a quiet shift that happens when the heart finally drops its guard. When you stop using only memorized phrases and begin to speak about what is actually weighing on your chest. When you admit the fears you have been hiding. When you confess the mistakes that still trouble you. When you ask for things that feel almost too personal to say out loud. This kind of dua builds a different relationship with Allah. It transforms dua from a ritual into a conversation. It transforms worship from a routine into an intimate meeting. Our beloved Prophet taught us something deeply reassuring about this reality. Prophet Muhammad informed us that Allah does not look at our appearances or our wealth, but He looks at our hearts and our deeds. Subhanallah. Outward forms matter, yes, but the weight of the action is rooted in the state of the heart behind it. This should bring immense relief to anyone who has ever felt spiritually inadequate. You do not need a perfect voice for your dua to reach the heavens. You do not need perfect grammar for your plea to be heard. You do not need long, complex supplications for Allah to respond. What you need is a heart that knows it is in need. What you need is sincerity that is honest. What you need is humility that is real. And Ramadan softens the heart in ways that make this easier if we allow it. Notice how your emotions feel closer to the surface in these days. Notice how certain verses of Quran touch you more deeply. Notice how the night feels more reflective, more quiet, more open for private conversation with your Lord. These are invitations, not accidents. Allah is creating openings for you to return to Him with a heart that is more awake than usual. But many people unintentionally miss these openings because they remain focused only on external completion, finishing the recitation, completing the units of prayer, checking off the list of du'as, without pausing long enough to let the heart fully arrive. This Ramadan, try arriving with your heart. When you sit for du'as, slow your breathing. Let the noise of the day settle. Remind yourself gently that you are speaking to the one who already knows every secret you carry. Then begin to speak, even if the words feel simple. Especially if the words feel simple. You might be surprised how quickly the heart responds when it is given permission to be sincere instead of perfect. And if in those moments your voice begins to shake, or your chest feels tight, or your eyes begin to fill, welcome that softness. It is a gift. It is a sign that the heart is present. It is a sign that the distance between the tongue and the heart is shrinking. There is something else very beautiful about sincere, imperfect dua. It builds consistency. When people think dua must sound perfect, they sometimes avoid making it as often. Shaitan quietly whispers that their words are not good enough, that their Arabic is too weak, that their supplication is too simple to matter. And slowly, the servant becomes less frequent in calling upon Allah. But when you internalize the truth that Allah looks at the heart first, dua becomes easier, more frequent, more natural. You begin to speak to Allah throughout your day, not just in formal moments. You begin to whisper small requests, small gratitudes, small admissions of need. And over time, this builds a living, breathing relationship with your Lord that carries you through both ease and hardship. Ramadan is not only about increasing acts, it is about deepening connection. And one of the most powerful ways to deepen that connection is to stand before Allah with a heart that is unfiltered, humble and honest. So as these blessed nights approach and pass quickly, do not worry about sounding impressive in your dua. Worry about being present. Worry about being sincere. Worry about allowing your heart to actually feel the words your tongue is saying. Because in the sight of Allah, a soft, trembling, sincere heart can carry a weight that polished, perfect words alone never could. Especially in the quiet moments of Ramadan, when the servant finally lowers the barriers, raises their hands with humility, and speaks to their Lord with the kind of honesty that only comes from a heart that truly understands how deeply it needs Him.